Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to an eventful Monday. So far, only bad news for our Philadelphia Eagles. Well, except for Kelsey.
You mean uneventful for us? Yes.
Yeah, uneventful for us so far, but not totally surprised. Free agent frenzy. So we're going to get a lot of football talk. We're also going to get into a lot of Sixers. We got the red hot Sixers right now, so we'll be discussing that and much more. So anyway, let's get down to it here. I got the usual cast. I got my man Sean Kilrain to my left.
What's up, fellas?
All right, I got Mike Fuji to my to my right, I guess. How you doing, Mike?
Pretty good. How's everybody doing, fellas?
Chilling.
What's up, dude? How you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. I got my man, Mr. 6 for 6, Diego Bianchi, right below me. What's up, dog? How you doing, man?
What's up, guys? How you making out?
Chilling, man.
Pretty good.
Not bad.
Gloomy Monday.
Yeah, that's what it feels like today.
Yeah, definitely.
Last but not least, my man Euro Paul. What's up, Paul? How you doing, bro?
All right, man. How you doing?
I'm doing better than the Eagles' defense looks to be doing. I mean,
Big
Two hits so far. So
Yeah.
Well, we knew it was coming, though. Let's not act surprised. I'm not surprised by it.
Surprised, but yeah, you lost a guy with 11 sacks last year, so we got to find someone to replace him. And then a guy who, TJ Edwards. I mean, he had 105 tackles for us last year. So
Well, I'll tell you what hurts. The losing the guys isn't what hurts the most. What hurts the most, Hargreaves went to the Niners.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That hurts the most.
That defense got better, much better.
I
Now.
really
Right.
thought he was going to the Bears, man. They had a pocket full of money. And then I see the alert, 49ers. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was out of nowhere. And they overpaid a little bit for a player like that. 21 mil, 21.3 mil or something like that. That's a lot.
He's 30, right? 30, 31?
30.
29, I think.
I think he got 60-some million guaranteed, too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's going to be
that's a
hell.
lot. That's a lot. I'm sad he's gone. I'm glad we didn't pay him that much money.
Yeah, well, they were salty that we beat their ass, and now they're trying to get back to us.
Yeah, they're trying to get our recipe.
Yeah.
Little retribution going on.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
whatever.
Gannon will see him in that division twice a year.
Yeah,
Let him deal with that headache.
Yeah.
Yeah, got a comment here, Dave Arnold. Hey, Sully Sqaud, what's going on? Hey, Dave,
What's up,
how you
Dave?
doing, bro?
They-
Yeah, I mean, like Diego said, I mean, it's not anything that we weren't expecting. I mean, we kind of had a feeling this was going to happen. CJ Gardner-Johnson hasn't signed yet, so maybe we could hold out hope that possibly. Oh, crap! Well, this isn't good.
What?
Mike Laura, Marcus Epps to the Raiders.
All right.
Oh, that's another guy. I was hoping maybe we. Well, you know what? If we keep CJ, then I'm okay with losing Epps. You know what I mean?
All right, so this usually happens to teams that go far in the league. When they get to people overpay for players like that.
In the Super Bowl. Exactly. You're going to lose key players. Like
You're going to use key players. People are going to overpay.
Yeah.
Like Marcus Epps, what do you make? Don't say that.
We went to the Super Bowl. He's getting paid.
Of course, look at Larry Brown. Look at Larry
Yeah.
Brown, MVP. The Dallas, yeah. Al Davis overpaid him.
Just like they said on Inside the Huddle, and Diego brought up, it's like a big payday because two best teams in the Super Bowl, regardless win or lose, somebody's getting paid. And they're losing.
Yep.
Look at the Chiefs like we just talked about, Juwan Taylor. I mean, they traded for the Chiefs, upgraded their O-line.
Right.
But guys are going to either decrease or increase their team.
No,
I think we're pretty good, though. So
It just says they reached an agreement. No details yet.
that's a success of being a Super Bowl team. You lose coaches, coordinators,
exactly.
big time players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
It is what it is.
a lot of these guys were mercenaries, 1-year deals, so they really have no obligation to the Eagles.
Yeah, we don't have to be too sad. Our offense plays the way they played last year. We're still going to beat team.
But then there's guys on the practice squad. I think me and Fuji were talking about it yesterday. You got Mario Goodrich, Josh Joby, Blankenship. Don't forget about him.
Right.
Guys that could
Undrafted.
hopefully come in and insert themselves as a starter or do something in preseason. So I'm not that really worried.
And then maybe it'll be a spot for Nakobe Dean too, hopefully.
I think Cowie's got to find a way to keep CJ in here now.
No, definitely.
Cowie's got to find a way to keep CJ in here. You lost Epps, so you'll just put blank and shit where Epps played. Whatever.
Yeah,
that's fine. Epps wasn't nothing crazy. He was solid, but he ain't nothing crazy. Like, if you lose him, it's the end of the world. So Blankenship can do that job. If you keep CJ, I mean, I would even say we upgraded that safety a little bit, because I think Blankenship could be a little better than Marcus Epps.
Yeah, but the thing,
you got longevity in the back in the secondary. Go ahead, Fooch.
no, I was going to say, it's losing, CD Deuce. I mean, the guy's like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
Played a slot safety. It's a shame because he's only 24, 25 years old. And, without this Jalen Hurts contract looming over our heads, I mean, he would have been locked up no problem.
Right.
Yeah. So I was seeing on Twitter, I don't know how true it is, but I was seeing on Twitter that with the Bengals lost both their safeties. They lost Von Bell
Bates,
and
Jesse Bates still in.
And they're looking at possibly getting CJ Gardner-Johnson as a replacement. But I don't know how true that is, but we'll see. I mean, you know how it is with these rumors. You don't know what to believe or not. I mean, earlier today it seemed like it was a foregone conclusion that Aaron Rodgers was going to the Jets, and then nothing's happened.
Exactly.
Although I think what'll happen is I think he goes on Pat McAfee's show tomorrow. So it would kind of make sense that he would announce that on Pat McAfee's show, because he's been on McAfee's show a bunch. That would make sense.
Did you see the tweets from Garrett Wilson Jr. and Saul Carter?
Yeah, the Christian tweet.
Yeah. That's definitely Garrett Wilson was like, now I can go on vacation,
Well, that's probably what happened. It probably is a done deal. Maybe Trey Wingo shouldn't have said anything, and then Rodgers is going to announce it on McAfee's show tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
That's a great move for the Jets. Like, if Aaron Rodgers still has 2 years left in the tank with all them young guys they have, and the running back coming back from injury, Bryce, what's the name?
Bryce Hall.
Breece Hall, yeah. Him coming back. They got a good defense. They could be scary good.
They got some weapons on that offense, too.
They do. I think Conklin, the tight end's pretty good.
Corey Davis, is that right? Corey Davis?
Yeah, they're 3 receivers deep. Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, and Corey Davis. That's 3 receivers deep.
And Denzel Mims, don't forget about him.
Yeah.
But with Rodgers, everybody's in the mix.
Give a couple comments here. Here's our man Anthony Stass. What up, my boys? Hey, what's up, Anthony? Thanks for checking us out.
What's up, dog? What's going on, dude?
We've got a couple comments here. We got a comment from G. What's that say? GJQJ. Okay.
QJ.
Got it. GJQJ. Okay. He says, if we were to lose CJ as well, how would you guys feel about the Eagles picking a safety and corner or D tackle at picks 10 and 30?
I'd be all right with it.
He's got a follow-up question too. He said, "Is there a good safety class in this year's draft?" Actually, this draft is
branch and battle
from Alabama, right?
Bama, yeah.
And then they got a kid named Johnson from Texas A&M that's supposed to be pretty good.
And forget Sidney Brown. He had a very good combine safety out of Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got my man. Here's my man Joaquin Stable. He says Rodgers and Jets can turn into a Tom Brady situation. I actually agree with that, because the Jets won 7 games last year with no quarterback at all. That's a good football team. You know
it's a good football team.
They got some missing puzzle pieces, and they get him that puzzle piece is put together.
All right, hang on, Diego. I got a couple questions for you real quick. So we got, hang on, I hit the wrong John. Here we go, right here. Here we go, right here. Okay, so Pat Barnard says, how was it covering the Union? And Mike Marinon says, Diego, talk about the first experience reporting. So go ahead.
It was awesome, dude. It was awesome. It's like everything you could ever dream of as like being a sports fanatic, So I went down there. I got to sit in the press box, write my article. You know what I mean? Really pay attention to a game. I've never I've never experienced a game like that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It was amazing. I can't wait till my next game, March 25th against Orlando.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Congratulations.
Nice, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. All soccer fans out there, make sure you check out my man Diego. All right.
Yeah, give me a follow on Twitter. Diego EOP, TikTok Diego390 EOP. If you want to check out some Union stuff, I got it for you. I got what you need. I got what you need.
He's like, yo, you know what we need? We need that. What's that meme with the Chris Rock? He's like, yo, y'all got any more of the? It's like, yo, y'all got any more of that Union coverage? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got what y'all need.
Yeah.
Smoke rocks, Joe Rogan.
He's like, yo, I got that. What was it? The Wire. He's like, yo, we got that ready, Rock. You know what I mean?
You're probably thinking of New Jack City when he played Pookie.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, Chris Rock.
Well, that was funny on the Chris Rock special. I watched the Chris Rock special on Netflix, and he was talking about how Will Smith, obviously Will Smith slapped the shit out of him. And he's like, damn, y'all. He's like, Will Smith played Muhammad Ali. He's like, I played Pookie. You know what I mean? He's like, everybody knows Will Smith.
Yeah. He's like 3 times the size of me.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. Here we got right here. Joaquin Stable with a comment. He says, what do you guys think of Danny Briere getting the GM job with the Flyers?
Who are they?
Love it.
All right, I'll just comment on it real quick.
Yeah.
I'm willing to give him a chance. I mean, anybody's better than Chuck Fletcher. I mean, my son's 9 years old. He doesn't know shit about hockey, and I'd rather him be the GM than Chuck Fletcher. So
Yeah, but
anybody, you could put a warm body in there, and he's better than Chuck Fletcher.
yeah, but it's just a shame they pulled the plug too late. You should have did it.
Yeah.
You should have did it earlier.
Yes, you should have.
I like the whole concept.
This way, Briere probably could have, did something at the deadline.
He would have probably got rid of JVR.
Yep.
No doubt.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
I like when a player is a general manager because players have like that fire in them to win as a player. So I feel like they're willing to take more chances on bringing guys in because they know the game, the ins and outs of everything. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, like Joe said, anyone better than Chuck Fletcher, but I do think Daniel Briere is an upgrade, a major upgrade.
Negative feedback from them because they played the game, they know it as well as you do.
Well, you just got to give him a chance. And I mean, I know during his press conference, it was on TV the other night, he was talking about, the whole rebuild thing. I mean, you got to start somewhere.
Yep.
Well, and another thing to Diego's point about the former player, I think that's really big in a sport like hockey too. Because there's a lot more things than just looking at analytics. Like a hockey player can watch the tape and see if a guy is like too much of a wimp to go into the boards to go get that puck. You know what I mean? Like Danny Briere was what, like 5'7", 5'8". I mean, he had brass stones. He would go into the corner, he would get that puck, and now, if he's the GM going forward, then I want him to be able to identify a guy that's not afraid. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there was in the draft we took Cam York. There was a player, I forget his name. He was like 5'7". He was little, like Danny Briere, right? But everyone said he was a stud. But everybody was scared about his size. The building was split on taking him or taking Cam York. Chuck Fletcher took Cam York. This dude plays in Montreal. He's got like 57 goals in like 100 games or something like that. 120 games, something like that. That's pretty good for a guy who's been in the league 2 years.
Yeah.
Dana Briere probably would have seen something like that and been like, I'm a little dude myself. I take hits along the board. Why can't this dude? He absorbs contact well. Let's take him. The decision probably would have been different.
Oh,
yeah, you know what? That's enough talk. I was gonna say that's enough talk about the Flyers. Let's move on to a team that's playing great.
I was just about to chime in. Go ahead, no problem.
See, I love when the Flyers are good, though. That's the thing. Who doesn't love when the Flyers are good?
We have bigger things to talk about.
I hear you, but hey, we got a red hot basketball team in here. So
let's go.
We got a red hot basketball team, and so we're bringing in our man Sean Barnard right here. Talk some Sixers. Hey, how you doing, Sean?
What's up, Sean?
What's
Hey,
going on,
Sean, how
fellas?
are you?
What's up, dude?
Doing well.
How you doing?
Doing well. Appreciate you guys for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for coming on.
It's been a few days.
Yeah, so we've been talking NFL free agency, because it's the free agent frenzy and it's a little crazy and stuff. But I wouldn't mind getting onto a team that's actually playing on the court. Sixers are just red hot right now. I mean, especially last night kind of was like a rocking chair ride against the Wizards. Friday, of course, we had that great comeback against Portland. And, Joel Embiid did the Kobe shot. I mean, that was unreal, that game winner. So I guess what's your impressions on the Sixers as far as, right now we're the 3 seed. I mean, do you think there's hope that they could actually beat Boston or Milwaukee and come out of the East?
Yeah, I'm pretty optimistic on this team right now. I mean, they have been showing me something of late. This is for sure the most resilient team that we've kind of seen in the Joel Embiid era. I mean, it feels like they rip off a double-digit comeback on at least once a week at this point. And even like that game against the Trailblazers, like it was one, even though them being down, it just felt like you can never count them out at this point, which is a good trait and something that we haven't really been able to say about this team through the last couple of years. And even that the win over the Wizards yesterday, like even though it's a boring game, you kind of hate to see it, like those are the business like wins that you do want to see, them just taking care of business, proving they're the better team and taking advantage of it. So there's been a little more of that lately. It's nice to see them kind of hitting their stride now as we inch closer to the postseason. I'm more optimistic than I have been all season, and it is just like these kind of character wins and gutsiness that they're showing that's selling me on it.
Yeah, definitely, and props to Doc Rivers, and I'll call him Doc Rivers because when they don't play well, I call him Glenn. You know what I mean? But props to Doc Rivers because I'll tell you, it seems like he only gets the blame for the losses, but the guy never gets any credit. I mean, this team's 33-10 since December or something, or since Harden came back.
33-11. That's Harden came back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, hey, give credit where credit's due. I mean, Doc Rivers is doing a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does feel like that. He's definitely has not had the warmest reception from Philadelphia fans for sure. And partially for good reasons. There's definitely plenty to nitpick that haven't been exactly gone according to plan. But he's definitely coaching a hell of a season. And you're seeing just even the little decisions lately, like he's staggering Embiid and Harden's minutes much better. He's not running out with the all bench units as much. He's kind of picking his choices. Paul Reed's getting the time in the backup center situation. We did see a little bit of Dwayne Dedmon in those closing minutes of the Wizards game, so hopefully that doesn't become a theme. But overall, he is kind of pulling the strings right. We're seeing a whole new level of Joel Embiid, which it's up to you how much you want to give credit to Doc for that, how much you just want to give that to Joel's evolution. But we're seeing this team in a different way that we really haven't, and he does deserve at least some credit for it for sure.
Sure. Yeah, I got a question. What do you think about James Harden's play lately? Does he seem to be like back to vintage James Harden a little bit?
He's been the man this year. I was a little skeptical going into the year that there was these I obviously believe that there was hamstring injuries and that he was dealing with that, but I was kind of concerned that some of this was just old age and him kind of hitting that point. But he really is a different player than he was last year. He's got more burst. He's creating more separation off the dribble with the step back, and the fact that that's all together, that opens up everything for his game. And I mean, the playmaking is as good as advertised, if not better. The chemistry he has with Joel and that two-man game is like nothing else across the entire NBA. That little pick and roll, pick and pop. There's really no way you can fully shut down all their options. And if he's capable of carrying this into the playoffs, being that true second option as a scorer in addition to all the playmaking, this team's in really good shape. So I'm sold on James Harden for this year. He's opened my eyes a ton and far exceeded my expectations. And he's definitely been the co-star that Embiid has been missing. And I'm excited to see what this duo can do come playoff time.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
So the Sixers getting hot at the right time. And as we talked on Thursday, I mean, the cohesiveness with this team just seems to be clicking on all cylinders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this team, they seem to like each other. They seem to be, everybody's buying in, doing their jobs. And it feels like there's more of guys understanding their role than has kind of been the case. Like PJ Tucker's gotten some slack for the lack of production and box score and impact and stuff, but he's bought into just defending, shooting a three when it comes his way, and doing all kind of the grunt work, diving for balls, and that makes an impact. And guys like Anthony Melton figuring out their role, where I'm going to be tasked with on the defensive end guarding a best player on a pretty much nightly basis. Jalen McDaniels has been an awesome addition. He's kind of doing his thing, figuring out his role, and not been doing too much, which was kind of a complaint of his when he played with the Hornets, people saying he had some bad shot selection tendencies and that kind of thing. We haven't seen that. He's had a stable role. He's sticking to it. So I'm very happy with kind of where everyone's mindset seems to be, and everyone's doing their job at a high level right now.
What's your thoughts on Tobias Harris? He's been up and down so far.
Yeah. It's been a little bit of a bummer with Tobias lately. It felt like early on in the season, he was locked in. He had made a ton of changes to his game, and I was praising him all over the place. Happy to see kind of this version of Tobias with the quick decisions, the catch and shoot three. It's a bummer that his role was kind of minimized to like a 3-and-D kind of player at this point, but that's what the Sixers need out of him. Early on in the season, I really saw signs of improvement of him playing that way and saw some really positive signs, but it just hasn't been that way lately. He's kind of back to being slower with the ball, taking the pump fakes, kind of going to his post and mid-range game more than the Sixers need him to. And defensively, he also, I think, has taken a little bit of step back. So I guess that's maybe a room for upside with this team if he can get back on track and find his lane. But we're seeing there's nights now where he's not even in the closing lineup, where they go with Tucker, Melton, Maxey, Harden, and Embiid as 5 and things like that. So Tobias is not the guaranteed for minutes that he once was. He still is going to play a big role, and I don't expect him to be kicked out of the starting lineup or any means, but it would be nice if he kind of gets back to the habits that he was showing in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I got another question. I feel like what I hear the most talked about in the national media. Who's your MVP? Jokic or Embiid?
Yeah, I mean, I'm an Embiid guy through and through. I'm not going to act like I don't have a little bit of a horse in the race for sure, but I do. I think he genuinely deserves it. To me, there's such like a just drastic difference between the two on the defensive side of the ball that should spell it out for me. I mean, we're talking about Joel Embiid, who leads the NBA in scoring at 33.4 points per game and is the most important player on the defensive end on an every night basis. And that's something that you just really can't say about anyone across the league. There's very few players who are the most important player on their team on both sides of the ball. Jokic is far from that on the defensive side of things. I do enjoy how there's been some more noise and clips and stats kind of coming out exposing that for his end. But yeah, you're never going to get Joel for that. He's still a guy who leaves it out on the defensive end. He changes the game. And as much as he for sure lights up the box scores, I would argue he's more important to the Sixers team on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that's going to show in the playoffs. So I hope he deserves it. I am kind of sensing the tides turning a little bit and him kind of getting that respect. I would love for him to get one just to have that on his resume and get the acknowledgement he deserves. But I am a little concerned it's too little too late if Jokic kind of has the path paved for him.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things because I mean obviously both guys are just unbelievable players, but
sure.
like you said though, I mean the difference in the difference defensively is so. I mean, it's huge. Jokic really can't really guard anybody. And Embiid is the anchor of the defense, and especially on the Sixers team because let's face it. I mean, the Sixers have a lot of strengths, but perimeter defense is not one of them. I mean, Harden and Maxey together in that lineup, Embiid's got to cover a lot for that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he's just so big there.
Yeah,
I feel like the most telling thing for that conversation is you've never seen a center like Embiid play in this game. We've seen people play point guard and be good point guards at it. And to me, that's what Jokic does. He's a point guard. He has the ball in his hands coming up and down the court every single time to where Embiid has to come up, get in position, receive the ball from somebody else, then face up and make a play. He does so much more impact-wise on the game that Nikola Jokic does.
Mm-hmm. And it's become such like a hostile topic that it's like Jokic is still a phenomenal player, still a top 5 NBA talent, but I just do believe Embiid is more impactful and just the overall better player. And I mean, we saw these two firsthand match up with each other, and Joel dropped 47 on him, having the most dominant performance. Yeah. There is another matchup between these two before the end of the year, so that's going to be a big game for all the votes, all the viewers, and I'm excited to see it. But yeah, I agree. I think Jokic gets a lot of the benefit of the doubt and extra credit for just kind of being a center that does these things versus like if he was labeled a guard or labeled a wing or whatever, the assists probably don't pop to people's eyes as much as maybe they do right now. And I do believe Joel is the more impactful player. And I had a guy on my podcast kind of talking about the difference. He was a Nuggets reporter, and we were just talking about things through this. And one of the things that I said for the defensive conversation is, if you line up the starting fives for both the Nuggets and the Sixers, like the two worst perimeter defenders out of all 10 starters are probably Maxey and Harden. And to have the Sixers be better than the Nuggets in all the statistical categories defensively, that's a huge credit to Embiid for kind of like overcoming that, being the guy that locks it down. And the Nuggets have done a great job bringing guys around Jokic to kind of make up for things, guys like Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., even though he's not great defensively, but just lengthy, big guys that kind of make up for it. But yeah, Joel can do it all, and there isn't a basketball situation that you don't want him on the court.
Exactly.
Yeah, and kind of to piggyback off of what you're saying, I mean, Diego and I were talking about this at work a few weeks back, but like I started watching basketball back in it was the end of Kareem, it was the Elijah Wan era, and don't get me wrong, all those guys were great players. But I'll tell you, in my opinion, I think Joel Embiid is the most talented big man that this league has seen since Wilt Chamberlain. I mean, as far as just pure talent, I mean, the things he does on the court, I mean, the guy, I mean, I've never seen a center be able to shoot like him. And he shoot like 80% from the foul line? I mean,
84.
It's unreal.
Yeah, and shooting at like a 60% clip from the mid-range, which is ridiculous. And that to me is such a testament to Joel for really putting the work in, because his shooting was by no means like at the top of the scouting reports of him coming out of college. He had the size, the physicality, the defense, but this like shooting touch is something that he's just gotten in the gym and perfected. And that really has opened up everything in his game, because you see how often the Sixers use him out of that elbow or the mid post. And rather than dropping him down on the block, which I know we see the people complain about getting in the post all the time. But the issue with that is it's so much easier to double when he's starting off on the block.
Yeah.
When you bring him up by the elbow or in that mid post, he has the whole floor in front of him and kind of like evaluate the best way to attack, versus having guys like come on his back and be there before he's ready for them. So his ability to just like walk into that mid-range shot the way he does has opened up everything in his game. And that's something that is really new these past 2 to 3 years. And it's awesome. It's taken his game to a whole nother level for sure. And yeah, he's just amazing to watch.
Yeah, I mean, Daryl Morey should have a mask for how bad we fleeced Brooklyn on that Harden trade. I mean, when you look at that, I mean, not to pile on Ben Simmons, but I mean, hey, he quit on us, so screw him. But I mean, what a fleecing, you know what I mean? It was crazy.
Yeah, very crazy. And even like looking back, like the version of Ben Simmons that's in Brooklyn is far worse than the guy who ever suited up from the Sixers. And not that I was ever the biggest Ben Simmons guy, but I can't believe just like the shell of himself that he kind of is at this point. And there's just no interest in improving on the offensive end. And the Nets, he's out of the Nets rotation for what they need him for at this point. And to just see like that kind of drop off, like I get he didn't live up to expectations here, but there was still a time where this guy was an all-star and all-NBA kind of guy. And defensively, especially made his impact. He is nowhere close to this. So I don't think anybody could have predicted it, but I'm very happy the Sixers kind of ended up on the right end of that one.
He just doesn't love basketball. He fell out of love with basketball.
Mm-hmm. He might be out of the league in the next year or two, probably.
Yeah, I think there's a more legitimate chance of that than like people kind of say that in joke, but I think that's legitimate. Like I think there's a chance of that, because I don't think he's ever been a guy that has loved basketball. And even when you look at like his track record of like going to LSU, the team was not very good there. His numbers weren't ridiculous good. He was always like a get to the NBA kind of guy. But it was never like I want to be the greatest. It was just like I'm natural at this. I have these abilities. And he does have some like innate abilities with the ball that are impressive to watch. But like that actual competitive drive and all that kind of areas is where he falls flat. And you can't hide that to a certain extent.
Nope. Yeah. He has no desire. It's like he wants to get paid and get out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sean, as far as the Eastern Conference, like winding down with 15 games, whatever, you see the Knicks being a dark horse?
Yeah, they're playing good basketball right now, and they're a team that like is Jalen Brunson's hurt right now, so I'd like to see him get back. That's kind of been a little bit of, it sounds like a bigger storyline to watch than I think's been given credit. It sounds like that's going to linger for a little bit. If he's back by playoffs, I mean, they're a team that is still an ugly first round matchup for anybody. They're a pretty complete team. Brunson has had a terrific year, and he's exceeded my expectations too after coming from the Mavericks last year. They're well built. They're solid. The kind of question is just if the top end talent of Brunson and Julius Randle is kind of enough for a postseason series. Randle's a guy who can shoot you in or out of a basketball game. But I do like the way they've built this Knicks team, and they've definitely taken some serious strides forward this year, and not a team I would be itching to play by any means.
Yeah, and they're also, like you said, they're also well coached too. I tell you, Thibodeau's a hell of a coach.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got it. Just to touch on Tobias Harris, we got a comment here from a Brandon Radzwitz. It says, regarding Tobias, he was arguably our most consistent player last year in the playoffs after a huge slump. So I guess, if you think about it, that gives us some hope that maybe, he may be struggling here, and he might be kind of dinged up. I mean, you remember he got kind of dinged up in that Milwaukee game, so maybe he's kind of, has a few things lingering. But hopefully Tobias in the playoffs can really do something, because we're going to need him. We're definitely going to need him.
Well, he kind of lost his. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. How are you?
No, you're good. Go ahead. You go.
I was just going to say the Sixers need some sort of production from like the perimeter defense, which is probably for me the biggest concern with this team still. Early on in the season, Tobias kind of seemed to take a personal step up in that. If he is just like a positive defender, because we're talking about looking through this path through the East, they're going to have to guard guys like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday. These are tough guards for anybody. And if Tobias is going to be on the court, we're probably going to task him with some of these players. Sure, we got PJ Tucker, DeAnthony Melton, definitely going to do the job as well. But Tobias, if he's out there, we kind of need him at that position. And so if he can just provide positive stuff on the defensive side of the floor, I think that would speak volumes. And he did show it in last year's playoffs. If he can replicate that, I think the Sixers will be happy.
You know what makes me sick is the fact that every time we mention Tobias Harris, I think of and I do think the Sixers have a hell of a chance. So I'm not saying that. The perfect guy for the Sixers team would be Mikal Bridges. And every time I think, you know what I mean? Like everything you're saying, what they need is exactly what Mikal Bridges is. And we had him for 20 minutes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. And he's playing unreal basketball for the Nets right now. He looks like the future cornerstone of that Brooklyn team for this rebuild. And we kind of saw him in that 3-and-D athletic kind of role for the Suns these past couple of years. He's now having some like creation responsibility where he can put the ball on the floor, create his own shot. And it's like, wow, this guy is even better than I think anybody else gave him credit. So that's definitely going to be one that kind of hurts forever, especially with like his mom working for the Sixers and all the other ties that he kind of had. So yeah, that's a heartbreaker for sure.
Yeah, I know. I still remember that.
Real quick, Don't you feel like Tobias kind of lost his role? He's a real 4, but then you bring PJ Tucker in to start, you move him to the 3. We already know how that went with Al Horford playing at the 4 and Tobias Harris going at the 3. So his role kind of got switched up again. And I feel like that's really what's hurting him right now.
In fairness to Tobias, he's seen his role shift more than anyone really across the NBA during his stretch with the Sixers. I mean, we're talking about like stretches of time where he was asked to be like the number 2 option alongside Embiid during like the holdout period. There's been times where he's just been like a 3-and-D guy. There's been times where he's running bench units. He's been all over the place from a 4 to a wing to just kind of hasn't really had that locked in what he's supposed to do. I thought it was honestly going to be good for him this year to kind of get this solidified. Like, look, we need you to take catch and shoot threes and we need you to play defense. That's really what the Sixers need from him. And does it kind of suck that like the guy that is making this much money that's kind of what you need with them, kind of a role player type role for one of your highest paid players? For sure. It's not the best situation, but if he does that at a high level and it helps the Sixers in a big way, I mean, that's all they can ask for. So yeah, I definitely think he's been a little bit messed up with the role stuff. I'm hoping that he can just kind of lock back into knowing, make quick decisions, play defense, and be comfortable being the guy kind of on the outskirts. He's had his lowest usage rate of his career for most of this year, so it's not the easiest thing to swallow for a guy.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, Tobias kind of has like the it's almost a poor man's like Chris Bosh role on this team. Like, remember when Miami had Chris Bosh, and Chris Bosh was like the man in Toronto. And, it is an adjustment from, like you said, having high usage to then all of a sudden, you don't get the ball as much, but everybody still expects you to put up numbers and be productive when you do.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at these super teams or bringing in talent, like everybody wants to bring in the most talent possible, or the best guys possible. But the bottom line is there's always going to be one basketball. So it's like not everybody can take these things. And we've even seen this in the Embiid and Harden duo of them kind of figure out like all right, we got to get on the same page here and make sure. But the only way that these like truly talented team and championship teams work is when everyone buys in and is okay with the role. For Tobias, that means not being able to take your like post up, pull up to the mid range. Really, like you got to play off these other guys do that thing. Yeah. I'm very encouraged by kind of the give and take that we've seen with Embiid and Harden, because that's going to be the ultimate ceiling of this team is if those two can get on the same page, not kind of compete with each other for shots. It felt like early on in the year they were each getting their numbers, but kind of just going out and getting it on their own. It now feels like they're on the same page of creating for each other. You see just more comfort with where they are on the court, but that's got to apply to everyone. So for Tobias, he definitely gets the short end of the stick in some scenarios, but that's what the team needs.
Yeah, I think we're lucky. He always accepts his role well.
Definitely. Yeah, one of the highest character guys across the NBA. As much as there's noise about the contract or the role under it, whatever, like he's a guy who shows up to work. And even last year when he had his little back and forth with the fans for a little bit, he still never quit on anything, showed up every night, competed hard. And he does deserve credit for that, as all over the place as his role and everything has been. He still shows up, does his job at the best of his ability every day.
Right.
Hey, listen, Sean, man, I really appreciate you hopping on, man. And thanks for taking the time out for us. Why don't you tell everybody tell the people where they can see you?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate all you guys for having me on. And yeah, always good to talk some Sixers. As far as my content, you can follow me on Twitter at Sean_Barnard1. Check out Pick Swap Media for all my podcast stuff and a few other stuff going on there. We got a bunch of March Madness content coming out there, so I'll be all ready for the tournament. And then you can check out my written work on Philly Sports Network as well.
Thanks, Sean. We appreciate it.
Great, man. Hey, thanks a lot, man. We'll talk to you soon, and go Sixers.
Sounds good. Go Sixers. Have a good one, guys.
Play the song.
See you, man. Play the song.
Have a good one, man.
Yeah, so that was cool. Yeah, hey, man. Hopefully hopefully the Sixers can get into the playoffs. Healthy, playing well, and I don't know. I mean, there's still an outside possibility. I think they could get that 2 seed. We're one game behind Boston in the loss column. I know Boston holds the tiebreaker, and they're a little more ahead of us than that, but that's because they've played more games than us. So we're one game out behind them in the loss column. So maybe we can find a way to catch that too.
Oh, no doubt.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So hang on one second here. So I want to get into this week's Sixers schedule, but real quick, let me give a shout out to the sponsors while I'm thinking of it here. So here we go. Anybody out there with any legal problems, call my man David R. Cherry Esquire at 610-565-0300 or www.cherryinjurylaw.com. He deals with workers' compensation, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, and criminal law. So make sure you give my man a call if you have any problems. Anybody out there looking for some tickets? Sporting events, concerts, theater. You could save 10% off with the promo code EOP10. www.sherrystickets.com. They're family owned and operated since 1946. So support a local business. They'll definitely hook you up. And right here, I got. So this Friday, down at Dolan's down in Delco, right here, they have a huge St. Patty's Day party featuring Brett Porsche from 93.3 WMMR. They got live bands, vendors, drink specials. DolanStar.com. It's at 24 East Sellers Avenue in Ridley Park, PA. Everybody's Irish on St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, they are.
Here's the lineup for EOP. There's something here for everybody. So make sure you check out all the shows. And and that's hang on, one more. We got Philly sports trips right here. The next trip is coming up. Wow, that's actually less than a month away. We got the ultimate bus trip to Yankee Stadium, April 3rd. They got a draft trip April 27th to the 30th in Kansas City. So make sure you check out phillysportstrips.com for all your traveling needs. What's this?
All the rules that they want.
Oh, okay. So anyway, all right. So
Real quick, Marcus Epps got 2 year, 12 mil, 8 guaranteed.
Wow.
that's a good comment. That's a good contract for him. So he's getting $6 million a year.
Yeah, it's too much to pay.
Yeah, you know what?
Take that money and try to get CJ.
No, hats off to him. He earned it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And let's, like we all said earlier, CJ Gardner-Johnson, bring him. You know he wants to come back. We can't let him go to the Browns or go to wherever.
Cox is on too, Cleveland.
Fletcher Cox.
Jim Schwartz.
Shit, man.
Jim Schwartz.
You think that's really a hit, though, Joe? I don't feel like that's really a hit. Cox looked done at some point last year.
I always thought he was on his way out.
Like, that's one player. Like, BG didn't look dumb. BG looked like he had some years. Like, Cox looked done at some points last year. Like, done.
I think Cox. Honestly,
just because you can keep somebody, though, for cheap, don't mean it's going to be productive for your team. If I can find someone I think is going to be a little bit more productive for cheap, let me go get that guy. Cox looked done at some point last year.
Next man up, like we always say. That's what I say. Cox, thank you for everything.
Cox said,
it ain't nothing you ain't getting from Melton Williams. I'll tell you that. Exactly. At this point in their career, it ain't nothing you ain't getting from Melton Williams.
Cox had a great year in this rotation, but the last couple of years prior, he dogged it.
Yeah, exactly. He looks dogged. He just looks done. Now, I understand when he has 6 sacks, he still had 6 sacks. But when you play on this defensive line, you're going to get sacks. Hassan Reddick's on one side, Sweat's on the other. They couldn't stop Hargraves inside. Now you take Hargraves away from that. Cox's job just got even harder. It's going to look even more washed.
So in Linval Joseph as well.
Well, I'll tell you a guy that's out there. He used to play for Washington. Matt Iodonis, I think his name is.
Yeah.
He went to Temple. Maybe we could sign a guy like him for on the cheap somewhat. He could come in and be a rotational type guy, because I agree with you about Cox. I do think his best days are behind him, but I'm just worried about the depth. You know what I mean? Because our depth is really taking a hit.
What do you think?
Going 6 deep. Now we have Jordan Davis. That Tuolapo, I can't even say his last name.
Don't forget the guys on the practice squad too.
Yeah, now we're in the position. Now we're in the position most teams are. Not everyone's 5-6 D tackles deep. That's like a treat to have. You know what I mean? Like we got
this isn't all a Pro Bowl defense all the way around this past season.
Look, we knew we were going to lose a lot of guys. You got to pay Jalen.
Exactly.
Sorry, Cox.
Well, that's the flip side of it.
Well, and you know what? It's not just about playing Jalen too, because yes, he's the pressing one, but we're gonna have to pay Devontae Smith and Landon Dickerson next year too. So yeah, I guess. Hey, we touched on this before. If you have a $50 million a year quarterback, you got to win with your offense, and you got to win like the Kansas City Chiefs do. You have to have a defense that's opportunistic, that gets a turnover, and gets like a stop or two, and that's how you got to win football games.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. Going into the draft, you're losing all these guys on defense. Howie has to hit on these draft picks out of the park. And I hate to say it, I give the man credit where it's due, and Sean can vouch for me. Howie has trouble drafting receivers and D-backs.
Yeah,
he seems like he hits on these line. Derek Barnett, I would have got rid of him last year. But
me too. Agreed.
Ready, but at 10, I feel like at 10, like if you're going to go corner at 10, there's not really, unless he does some crazy stuff like he did taking Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson, which I don't think he makes a mistake like that ever again. You learn from a mistake like that one time, you never do it again. So if this dude Witherspoon from Illinois is the clear-cut #1 cornerback in the draft, and you take him at 10 and he don't pan out, that's not on Howie. Howie took the guy he was supposed to at 10, and he just didn't pan out.
Well, it's just I could see Howie taking the D tackle, like Sean said earlier, a pass, an edge rusher or an offensive lineman. Lane Johnson's probably next, to retire within the next couple of years.
Yeah.
You're definitely right there.
his body's been breaking down the last couple of years, and
definitely.
So I have up here possible replacements, and I was just thinking of something here. So Howie a lot of times likes to make that preemptive strike and make a trade for somebody that's maybe entering a contract year, right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking, this guy Javon Kinlaw of the 49ers has been pretty. He's been relatively disappointing. They took him in the first round in like 2019.
Yeah.
They took him in the first round.
The linebacker?
No, he's defensive lineman. Defensive lineman. He's defensive
South Carolina.
So
I thought you said Kinlaw. Isn't Kinlaw the linebacker for San Fran?
I believe he is.
No,
Yeah, I thought I got.
Well,
Kinlaw, no. Javon Kinlaw's DT.
Yeah, Javon Kinlaw, defensive tackle.
He's 25. He's a first-round pick out of South Carolina, and he has not done much of anything his whole career yet.
Yeah.
Right. No, but
pray for that guy.
No, but
he had 1 sack in 20, no sacks in 21 because he was injured, and then he hasn't been playing or he's been injured, one or the other. He has like no stats, hardly anything.
Okay, but here's my point.
I know where you're going.
Not necessarily him, but my point is Howie could target somebody like that. Okay, the 49ers aren't going to pay him his 5th-year option. We have a depth problem on the defensive tackle. Maybe a change of scenery. You call up San Francisco. You give them like a 2014 5th or 6th round pick, and you take a chance on the kid for a year.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You know what I'm saying? You bring
you roll the dice.
You bring somebody like that in, change the scenery, and the other thing is too, how the Eagles have shown this, when you get guys coming up on contract years, you get their best football out of them.
Yes, definitely.
He hasn't done dick cheese, right?
Yeah.
But he comes to a winning team in Philadelphia, and he's hungry, and you bring him in, and next thing you know, maybe you get his best football out of him, and then either A, you re-sign him if you have the money, or B, you let him walk and you get another comp pick. I mean, it really is a good formula that Howie's done. Here we go. Oh, hang on 1 second here. We got a comment here. Dalvin Tomlinson, defensive tackle from Minnesota, could be an Eagle. Oh, now he's a decent player. Where did you see that, Mike? Is that just a rumor, or are they talking to him? And Dave Yornell, hey guys, Austin Eckler is sitting out there. I don't.
We can't get him.
I don't see the Eagles being able to do that.
Titans, the Bills, the Bengals do with Mixon's trouble shooting that kid or whatever.
Oh my God!
Isn't Dave Yarnell a Cowboys fan?
Yes.
He's trying to tie up our cap space. You know what I mean? He's like, take Austin Eckler.
I know. He's like, I'm trying to make you all broke. I don't want you guys.
Eckler would be a beast in his offense, though. You know what I mean?
I would take Austin Eckler in a heartbeat.
Yeah, no, he'd be a beast in his offense.
If the funds were there and the availability.
I would definitely take him, but Austin Eckler wants to get paid.
Yeah.
He's one of the best in the league.
Dude does nothing but score touchdowns, receiving and rushing.
And he is one of the hardest workers in the off season, just taking care of his body, man. He's just a beast.
I mean,
he's tiny. He squats over like 500 pounds.
5'10", 18 touchdowns last year.
I mean, you got to talk about a team in cap hell, and that's the Chargers. I know they reworked Keenan Allen's deal last week, but they're rumors of them cutting Khalil Mack.
and he's undrafted too, man. He's undrafted.
Yeah.
Eckler.
Hey.
Yeah.
Sometimes those diamonds are the rough for the undrafted guys.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this Dalvin Tomlinson here. 29 years old, 324 pounds. Now he would help. I believe he's pretty good against the run. He doesn't. But you're definitely not replacing Hargrave's inside push. He only has he had 2.5 sacks last year, 2.5 sacks in 2021. So if we're looking for pass rush, he's definitely not really the pass rusher. He's more of the looks like he's more of the run stopper.
Oh, if you remember, Hargrave was, how he got him. I don't want to say cheap. I mean, that was a pretty good signing back in 2020, and look Look what he emerged, what he flourished into. You know, to me, I think he was the anchor of that defensive line, right up the middle.
Mike Lauro, Dave has to worry about our cap space. Jerry ain't paying nobody. I know. I saw Paul and Dave and all. They were going back and forth because they're not really happy with old man Jerry Jones right now because they want him to do something.
Well, is today technically day one? I know it's tampering, but isn't it like Wednesday's the new NFL year?
Yeah, Wednesday. Today starts the legal tampering period, and then Wednesday, I believe, is the day
that's official.
Wednesday is the day the year officially starts.
Or even Michael Brockers from Detroit Lions.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, he's a guy. Yeah, I mean,
he's a tackle, isn't he?
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're so strapped for cash. I mean, I think you'll see the Eagles sign guys like maybe in like 3-4 couple days after free agency starts. If a guy's out there and he's not getting all the offers that he thinks he's worth, and you know, the other thing we got to keep in mind about the Eagles is if the money is equal, if the money is relatively equal, if it's a guy that's not getting a big payday, well, Philadelphia is going to be one of the top landing spots. I mean, these guys are going to want to come here.
Hassan Ridgeway, too.
Well, don't forget June 1st, you know, a lot of cap casualties in, and a lot of people may forget, you know, the Eagles picked up Bradbury then when the Giants cut him due to cap issues. You know, he was a 1-year, $10 million sign.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. I mean, let's rewind to last year. I mean, I remember when free agency started, like the Eagles got to sign Reddick, and then they really didn't do anything.
Exactly. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah. Right. And
they sat back.
Yeah, I mean,
a couple of days later, they picked up Kaiser White on a 1-year deal from the Chargers.
Yeah.
And then they could do something similar this year.
You know, Zach Pascal too. Yeah.
Mike
he was a late pickup.
Yeah, Mike Laura with a comment here. He says, "I like William Golston from Tampa Bay."
That'd be a nice pickup too.
Yeah, and then we got Dave Yarnell. Come on, guys. You have Howie. Anything can happen. That's true. It's Howie season, baby. Howie season.
It's Howie season.
Yeah, but let's say this. I don't want to. All right, I'll be ripping into the guy, but the last time, I mean, it's a passing league. The Eagles haven't drafted a D-back since Lito Shepherd in 2002, and it's like every year you trade for Slay. You know, you pick up Bradbury, you hit on. But why can't this organization, you know, and it's a passing league, and you go up against these top receivers every year, why can't we just get like a solid corner that could be with us for the next maybe eight years? I don't want to make them too old, but, you know, we just haven't had that. You know, you go back to the days of Troy Vincent and Bobby Taylor.
Yeah.
Right.
Like our corners used to be besides our defensive line, our secondary used to be like one of the best in the league. Oh, you know, under the Andy Reid era, but still.
It all comes down to the guys behind the scene evaluating the talent.
Right.
Now he ain't one of them.
Well, that's why I said he has. That's why I said Howie has to hit home runs out of the park with this draft.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no exceptions.
You got to have football minds, guys. Like Diego said, play the game.
You need guys that are going to step right in from day one when you draft them on that field.
I don't want
that are going to impact players. I want to impact players, and this guy just can't seem to do it. Sorry to say, I'll give him credit where it's due, but I mean, look at his draft history. It's part of it's terrible. I'm sorry. Anybody?
I mean, he took Avonte Maddox though,
and an umbrella boy.
Avonte Maddox is pretty good.
Bro. I love Avonte Maddox, but the guy can't stay healthy every year.
Well, that's not Howie Roseman's fault. He drafted a good player. He can't keep the guy healthy. He can't ice his legs for him and stuff.
I give Howie credit where it's due, but it's just that's why either has to trade or go out and sign for a D-back.
He's not the best drafter, but The core
he's
guys
not.
on the
That's
team,
what I mean.
the Brandon Graham, the Jason not Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson. You know, that was their Howie picks.
Chip Kelly, Lane Johnson was a Chip Kelly pick, wasn't he?
Yeah, I guess you're right. When Howie Roseman was in the corner, he was still technically the GM, though, right?
He was in the back. He was
Yeah, I
in
was
the
gonna
back.
say, yeah.
Back of the building.
Yeah, no, Howie was still part of the 2013 and 2014 draft. He didn't. Chip Kelly kicked him in
15.
2015. Chip Kelly had him counting jock straps. He was wearing jock straps in 2015. But and then he came back with a vengeance and made that Carson Wentz trade.
Chip Kelly actually drafted a good linebacker, and that was Jordan Hicks.
Yeah.
And he drafted what's his name? Rowe.
Eric
Rowe.
I remember him.
Rowe.
And then,
He's doing good
He's
in
still in the NFL.
Yeah,
he's
but
in
Eric Rowe
he's
started
in
in
Miami.
Eric Rowe started in a Super Bowl for the New England Patriots.
Against
Yeah.
us, yeah.
Yeah, Alshon Jeffrey made him his bitch.
Yeah.
Eric Rowe was guarding Alshon Jeffrey. Alshon Jeffrey.
Actually, what's his name? Who's the
Yeah,
guy who
because
asked-
Bill Belichick thought he was tough and he benched Malcolm Butler. Do we even win the Super Bowl if he don't get benched?
oh, he was
Actually,
he was out for-
Stephon Gilmore
he
went
violated
up against
curfew. That's what he
Alshon
did,
Jeffrey.
Butler.
Nah,
Yeah.
Stephon Gilmore wasn't on that team yet.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was. He was
Yeah,
on there.
Positive. He was him and
Was he?
Alshon Jeffrey
Yeah.
were each other's best man at their weddings. They
Yeah.
were
Oh,
roommates
okay.
at the
Butler-
University of South Carolina.
Butler got in trouble for a curfew violation, and Belichick said, "Your ass is sitting, bro.
Yeah.
You're in." I remember.
Well, Eric
that.
Rowe got his ass kicked because of that. Do we
Yeah.
win the Super Bowl if Eric Rowe goes? Is Malcolm Jenkins a start? Or not
Oh, yeah.
Jenkins? Butler.
Hell yeah.
I
think-
still think. I think every all the stars were aligned for us that year. We were destined to win the Super Bowl that year. We would have found a way.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind.
Absolutely.
The Eagles.
I'm gonna put a name
destined to
out
win the
there.
Super
I'm gonna
Bowl
put a
that
name
year.
out there. He was a 7th round pick in 2013 by the Eagles,
Jordan
and he's a
Poyer.
stud. And now he's still in the league and doing well.
Jordan
You know what I'm talking
Poyer.
about?
Yep.
Yeah, Jordan
Jordan
Poyer.
Poyer.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about that, man? That's another
Yeah.
guy. He's on the free agency market.
He's 32 though. You know he ain't coming
Yeah,
here.
he's 31 now. Yeah, he'll be 32. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, how he gets him on the cheap. But I don't think
Nah,
he'll last.
he's
He'll
going to
get
get
signed.
paid.
He doesn't want to come here. He said.
Who, Jordan Poyer?
Yeah.
Hey, you heard that?
Nah.
Oh.
Yes.
I'm like, really?
Yeah,
He's gonna get paid though. He's gonna get paid.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said he wants to get paid. He wants to kind of do what Tyreek Hill did
Yeah.
in Kansas City, and then went to Miami because he said something about taxes.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
New York's tax rate is like unbelievable. So he almost pulled like a 50 cent. Remember how 50 Cent was like, yo, I ain't trying to be 25 cent.
Right.
Because the New York taxes are like crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he wants to go to like a Florida or a Texas or
Yeah.
somewhere where and you know, it's funny because I do wonder sometimes that Jordan Poyer actually said it. A lot of times these guys don't say it, but it does kind of make sense. These states that have this huge tax rate,
Right.
you wonder if your sports teams are going to wind up having a competitive disadvantage because guys don't want to.
Exactly. Don't want to play.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. If you're making, I mean, I know, hey, I wish I had those problems. Put it that way. If you had that much money, but still, though, you don't want to give half your money to taxes. If you could go to Florida, have no state tax.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Joe, but what if they told you you go to New York, yeah, you got to pay more taxes, but you pick up 10 more sponsorships. So now that tax money all gets equaled out and you're making a lot more money because you're in New York than being in Oklahoma City.
Well, but I think it kind of. I mean, I guess it depends on how much endorsements you're getting. I mean, if you're, an NFL safety, how many endorsements is he getting? You know what I mean? Like,
you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. They still even these little safeties they still got contracts with Nike or they still got contracts. They're just not the people doing the commercials, but they still got sponsorship by these teams or by these companies.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
Not just the athletes you see are the only ones that have sponsorships. Even Poyer still has a cleat sponsorship. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that's specific, but something like that. So or they're doing commercials for little mom and pop dealerships or stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I hear you, but I mean, how much?
Also too, you're getting screwed at the end too because the taxes, but then after the fact, you're in a higher tax bracket. Guess what? You're going to even pay more at the end of the year.
Yeah,
I just don't think these players would love to go to these big like Los Angeles and New York, and you see LeBron go to LA and how much money he makes, and he's going to get taxed if that was the problem.
Yeah, but I know.
He's getting what? How many a year he gets? Change.
No, Diego, I understand what you're saying.
My
point is, you go to a big city, your exposure goes up, your money goes up.
Yeah, but there's a big difference between what LeBron James is bringing in and what Jordan Poyer is going to bring.
100%. But we just said Jordan Poyer going to get paid. He's going to get paid. He's going to be one of the higher paid safeties, isn't he?
Yeah, but even so, like
I'm not saying he's making LeBron James money. We're not comparing him to LeBron James. What I'm saying is going to get paid. So if they tell you can get paid $12 million and pick up $4 million sponsorships in New York, you're not going to go to Oklahoma City to make a little bit more money before or after taxes and get one sponsorship.
Yeah, but I hear you, but I don't think. I mean, it depends on the player. I mean, I'm not talking necessarily Jordan Poyer. Jordan Poyer is the example because of what he said, but I don't think Jordan Poyer is getting. Yes, he might get some sponsorships, but he's getting like local mom and pop pizza shop.
Or he might get, for example, he gets 0 in Oklahoma. Say he goes to fucking Oklahoma City or Oklahoma, whatever. He gets 0 there. You go to New York, you get 3. I'm not saying he's going to get 12. I'm just exaggerating. What I'm saying is there's more money to be made in a bigger city for athletes than in a little town.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. But I'm not necessarily talking about Oklahoma. I'm talking about he might go to like Miami. That's all. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, Miami's good. I'm just saying there's a different attraction when people say, "Do you want to come play in LA? You want to play in New York?" Yeah, taxes, but there's a lot more up than there is down when you go to a big city.
Oh, I got you. Hey, man, look, if I was a professional athlete, I'd rather play in a big city than like in the middle of friggin' nowhere. What the hell would I be doing there? You know what I mean?
So guess who's tied to go to the Bucs to replace Brady right now?
Baker Mayfield.
Yep.
Really?
Baker Mayfield. Yeah.
That's what though. That's not. I don't think that's terrible though, because if you're, look at it for Baker's point of view. He goes there. They got weapons. They got Godwin and they got Mike Evans still, right?
Yeah.
So he's got weapons down there. The weather's nice. And the bottom line is if it's kind of a win-win situation for him because if he goes there and balls out, he's got a chance to resurrect his career. And if you're Tampa Bay, if he goes there and he sucks, well, guess what? You're in the quarterback market next year where you got Caleb Williams and the kid from North Carolina coming out. What's the kid from North Carolina's name? Drake May, I think. Is it May?
Derek May.
I think there's a guy from North Carolina. I believe his last name is May.
Rattler. You got Spencer Rattler. You got Caleb Williams. Guy from Notre Dame.
Yeah, the point is, a lot of people say the quarterbacks coming out next year are actually better. That some people like them a little bit better than the ones this year.
Yeah.
So we'll see. You know what? Real quick before we get out of here, because we'll get into this. We'll get into this in the coming weeks. What was your guys' thought on the Bears and the Bears trading out of 1 and Carolina going up to 1? What did you guys think of that?
A great trade for both teams, in my opinion. The Bears get a receiver and all them picks, and Carolina can take the best quarterback they want.
No, but then I heard that Carolina said that they're open for trading that pick again.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. And another thing is too, you got Matt Corral,
right,
at 62, but you want to get another quarterback. You know what I mean? I mean, to me, I would have addressed other needs, but
Carolina hasn't had a quarterback since Cam Newton.
Yeah.
So to me, I agree with Diego. I think it's a good trade for both teams, and especially I'll tell you what, if the Bears, I've been saying it, if the Bears spend their money right, you'll see the Bears are going to be a threat.
Yes, they will.
Yeah, they're already
shaping
up that way. The signings today, so yeah, in this raid, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, but I was saying though, with Carolina, like to me, that's the owner going to the coaches of like they're all sitting there in his organization, and they're like, "Look, this is bullshit. We haven't had a quarterback since Cam Newton.
So let's get one.
I don't care. I don't care if we took Matt Corral last year. I want a guy at 1, and
this is how
and we're gonna have both these guys. And then if Matt Corral, you know how it is, dude. If Matt Corral looks good in the preseason, they'll flip him for a pick. You know what I mean? So."
And Sam Darnold is supposed to sign with the 49ers.
Yeah, I think that, you know what, I think that's actually a pretty good move for them and him because, Brock Purdy, I don't think is going to be ready for the start of the season. Trey Lance is coming off an ACL, right? So they're probably going to have they're probably going to try to go forward with Trey Lance as the guy, at least at first, because they gave up a lot of capital to get him.
Yeah.
But, Sam Darnold was the 3rd pick overall in the draft. He's kind of busted out, but Kyle Shanahan's a good coach, so maybe working with Shanahan, maybe they could get something out of
change
Darnold.
the scenery too, yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll be getting into all that. We'll be getting into all that in the coming weeks. So I guess let's get ready to wrap up here, real quick. Quick question here. We got the Sixers week. Hang on, I lost the schedule here. Hang on. Let's see. Let's do our little Sixers prediction here. So the Sixers got
Wednesday. Cleveland.
Sixers have 3 games this week. We're at Cleveland on Wednesday, at Charlotte on Friday, at Indiana on Saturday,
and then the Bulls.
And then we play. Okay. So how are the Sixers looking in the next 3? Are they staying on fire or what?
3-1.
Yeah.
3-1.
What do you think, Diego?
3-1. That sounds about right. They're on fire right now.
I see Cleveland playing us tough. The other 3, I think we get by. I think 3-1.
All right.
Playing on all cylinders, man. Yeah.
All right. I agree. And Joel Embiid, hey, I'd like to see him win the MVP, but let's keep it real. There's only one trophy that I'm concerned about, and that's the Larry O'Brien trophy.
Yeah.
All right. That's all I care about. I don't really care if Embiid wins the MVP, but I'd like to see him win it. But I don't care. Get the Larry O'Brien. It's been 40 years since the Philadelphia 76ers world champion. So, let's get it done. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, fellas. Well, let's get ready to get out of here. I guess hopefully the Eagles have a couple signings by the time we're back here next week. Mm-hmm. Go Sixers. Flyers, get some good losses. Get ready in the tank, and I'll see you all next week.
All right, guys. Peace out.